Medianoche.
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 Podcast.
Medianoche. Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Podcast.
1 2 1 2. Alright, and we're back one more time. Take 2. Alright, y'all. It's funny, when I said take 2, I was thinking, what rhymes with take 2? I thought of debut, Babe Ruth, hey you. Hey, Draz came through. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Draz?
Hey, you.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, man. It's just the way my mind works, bro. Just rhyme schemes, no matter what. You know,
That's real.
Take 2. What's up, Jesus? Yeah, whatever the fuck. You know how it is.
Come up with some dope stuff just in conversation.
Yeah. Those are the best lines. Like conversation. Like I heard once Draz, bro. Well, before we even get started, I got Draz here.
What's up?
What's up, Draz?
Chilling.
If y'all don't know who Draz is, shame on you. You know what I'm saying? Draz is an incredible producer. I've seen him win beat battles just off of, like I said, it's just off of stage presence alone, man. Just like owning the stage while your beats play. And then it adds to the quality of the beat because the other guy is looking at you like really just be in it. And then when it's his turn, he just kind of like looks all awkward and presses play. And it's like, yo, listen, man, where's your showmanship?
I just, listen, I just vibe to it like as if I'm in the spot making it right on there, right then and there. Not really worried about, what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And, that just carries through sometimes. So.
You know how like nowadays with selfie culture, with camera phone selfie culture, where like people will just be normal, just in their own little world, just doing nothing, and then they catch in the peripherals of their eye someone brings the phone up. What's up, y'all? We here. They start like tilted. They start like moving the camera phone around, and then everyone in the background knows that they're on camera, and they start like dancing and like pointing to the camera and just we out here. You know what I'm saying?
So true.
It's funny. It's funny. It literally is posing, But like posing not just for a picture, but like faking it. You know how you're a poser.
Exactly.
So it's like it's funny.
I like the the real just kind of catch people in the moment type pictures and stuff like that.
Right. It's funny you say that, like, to catch people in the moment. You know how they have that phrase where they're like, I just want to be a fly on the wall. Like,
yes.
I saw this one comment. You know how like on social media, it's become a thing where you'll listen to what the audio of the video as you're scrolling down the comments, to read the comments as the video's playing out. And this is one Kanye West interview, and someone was like, man, I would love to be a fly on the wall in Kanye's house. And then someone responded to him saying, why would you want to be a fly? it's like it's funny how the things that people will say to go to lengths, just I would love to, instead of being like, man, I would love to be in Kanye's house, but a human being, just me,
right?
It's like, I just want to be a fly on the wall.
I hear you, man. I don't know. Sometimes, there's some situations where I've seen some pictures and I'll be like, damn, to be in that room, man.
What are some studio sessions that you would have loved to just be in, bro?
Man, let's see. I think, man, there's so many. I think any of the studio sessions for Illmatic would have been just amazing. I've heard a few stories. I always try to keep my ears open. We hear a little, hear some stories here and there, and but I think that would have been dope. Honestly, any studio session with Dre.
I was gonna say,
listen.
Yeah. Hey, the Chronic 2001 sessions must have been. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the future, like let's say when Dre becomes like God bless him. I hope that this happens where like he gets really old and they start doing the "This Is Your Life" thing, and then all these old videos and photos surface, And it's like, wow,
Be dope.
hell yeah! Like
dope.
I would love to have been in the studio with like the Slim Shady LP.
Yeah, man.
You know,
Yeah.
like whoever brought the
Yeah.
shrooms in that session. Hey, by the way, shout out to Scam 2, because you know Scam 2's from Miami and he did the artwork, the Broken Pill.
Yes.
That's wild.
Yep.
You know, like
Yeah,
low key.
He's done some dope art.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah,
You know,
he also did a Tribe Called Quest, right?
Yeah, Beats, Rhymes, and Life.
Right.
He did Dynaz Joint. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's done a bunch of them, honestly.
I remember one time when I was still throwing shows with my ex at Church Hills, we had a show, and I was made aware of Scam 2. I didn't know of that he existed prior to this show, and then I was made aware that like, oh, this guy named Scam 2, you know. And by the way, he does artwork. Oh, and it just so happens he did artwork for the Slim
these
Shady
things,
LP.
yeah.
And I was like, what? So I reached out to him. And I was like, yo, hey, man, I'm doing a show. You want to, whatever. So I booked him. And he was cool. And when he got on stage, because he raps too, you know?
Yeah.
And when he got on
Really good, too.
stage, yeah, he is. He's actually really dope.
Yeah.
But okay, well, I'll elaborate on that. But like when he got on stage, he had like an Eminem intro. Hey, yo, Scam, what the fuck is good? And then the beat drops. And it's like, wow, that's got to be so tight. But like that right there.
The cosign.
Yeah, the ultimate cosign.
Yeah.
Like to have an Eminem cosign. Eminem in the late 90s, early 2000s,
That was a very ill cosign.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But man, like listen, like you know how I said, oh, and he's actually dope. The whole actually dope. Oh, by the way, he's also dope thing. You know, like that shit bugs me out, man. Because like, it like, I guess like, tell me how you think about this, Draz. Like,
Yeah.
like when someone's like, oh, by the way, did you know this also? And it's like in this person's world, they're like, yo, like, yeah, like this should be a omnipresent factor of me.
Like, you should know this already.
Yeah.
You can assume this.
And then the fact that people don't, I wonder how different people like handle that. Everyone's different.
I think everybody be different about how they deal with how people perceive them. But again, that's still how other people perceive them.
Yeah.
So it just depends on how comfortable you are with what you're doing and where you are with it. You know.
Yeah, like well, really like
if you know you dope, you know, and not necessarily being cocky about it, but if you know you're dope, then however whether everybody does or doesn't know is not really the issue. You know, you keep going about it, and then sooner or later they're gonna find out. You know, you just kind of have that's the mind frame you gotta have. Is just sooner or later they'll find out.
You know how you mentioned like you would love to have been in the Nas studio sessions. Have you noticed how in the last like maybe 2 years, give or take, there's been all this push to like commemorate Illmatic as an album? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, actually, they've been doing that for a good while. Like it feels like every year there's like this is the 20th anniversary of Illmatic, and But they've been doing that with like a lot of albums. Like I think it's the 25th anniversary of Midnight Marauders.
But see, look, I'm not even as familiar with the
Beats and Rhymes
marketing push of it's just specifically Illmatic. I've noticed that on the internet, social media, YouTube, like there's all this like just praising as time goes by for Illmatic. As great of an album as it is, like I'm almost like, yo guys, like you're kind of overdoing it a little bit with the praising of this album. It's not even Nas, it's just the team behind it.
But you know what it is? I mean, yes, that can happen, but if you look at the climate that we're in right now, and the fact that the type of music that's out right now, or the type of stuff that's headlining as well, I think it's actually a good thing. It's a positive thing that they're giving that album the attention that, to me, feels like it continues to deserve. I mean, it's a great album, honestly. You know, you talk about having 9 tracks, 8 if you say the first one's just really the intro. You know what I'm saying? But like, there's no filler.
Yeah,
there's like no filler, and I think that's the reason why that one is such a tough album, like it's the bar, if you will. And you have other albums that come very close to that, and some that are right on the same level as it. You know what I'm saying? Like The Chronic that's a tough album. You know what I'm saying? That's a bar. So it's like you want to set a bar at a certain level. And, everybody should be trying to reach up to that. And certain albums, they deserve exactly that amount of praise, and they deserve to be heralded, decades later.
Like that's one thing about how Jay-Z goes about like creating memorabilia, like that type of content for his discography, because it seems like with Nas, like all the focus is on Illmatic, whereas with Jay, the focus is
the catalog.
It's distributed on all the albums.
Yeah.
Whereas Reasonable Doubt for him is considered like, yo, this is my baby. But like it's like, let's not lose sight of Volume 1, 2, 3, The Dynasty, Blueprint
1,
2,
2, 3,
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it's like when you look back at the whole, it's like Michael Jackson with Thriller. Like you think of Michael Jackson, you think of Thriller. But
you can't forget Off the Wall.
Exactly.
Sure as hell can't forget,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's real.
So like on a minute scale, that's also why noticing that, like do you like, are you observant when you look at how people go about marketing their legacy and then kind of apply it to yourself in your own way?
I'm becoming more aware and paying more attention to it. And it's funny, I probably should apply that more to some of the past work, that I've done. Even that same thinking is like, hey, make sure people are aware that, you actually were involved in this, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like every once in a while somebody be like, hey, I remember this joint. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. That's dope,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's nowadays, especially, I mean, I think you look at the maybe 4 or 5 albums that came out last week, and you're like, wait a minute, what were they again? Because now everybody's on to the next 5 albums that came out this week,
Yeah.
It's such a very short attention span, So you have to remind people, you have to actually remind people and make an effort to say, hey, remember Eric B. as president? Hey, remember Run's House? Remember Sucker MCs, that type of stuff, because otherwise folks will forget. So you got to actually go back and, remind folks, that there was stuff before this past week,
Yeah, I agree. At the pace that like music is going nowadays, like people like you spend a year working on an album, it comes out, people listen to it for 5 days and they're done.
Yep.
It's not the quality of the album, it's just the way that the brain is being conditioned to consume content.
Yep.
Whereas like back in
real.
Illmatic, when that shit came out, like it was like the world stood still.
Right.
The music world stood still and just like enjoyed this,
It's like you I can recall albums dropping and you just remember where you were, what you were doing when they came out, or you can remember that moment in life, Like I can remember being over a good friend of mine's, Marcus' house, sitting in his room and listening to Illmatic for the first time. Mind blown. I can remember, being over a high school friend's house after school and listening to 36 Chambers for the first time. Mind blown, Beats, Rhymes, and Life. I can remember being on a road trip to L.A., stopping off at a record store, copping it because it came out. Was like, yo, pop it in the deck. We riding out, listening to Beats, Rhymes, Life the whole way there. And mind blown, But I can remember those things because also when it was a physical copy, like I miss those days in a sense, when you have physical copies. I think you mentioned it in one of your previous podcasts, like we talk about it like, yeah, back when Best Buy sold CDs. Oh, wait a minute, that was only like a month ago.
Oh yeah, with Orion, yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Like I'm not gonna lie, man. I've been tempted to. I don't know if I forgot. I'll say it. I just said it. Like I've been tempted to take all my music off of streaming services and then like making it only available to I just had Breeze here. The Breeze is a music like manager. He's kind of like an A&R, and he used to manage me. We were talking about how 1 million streams on Tidal, equals $12,000. And if you think that if you do the math, that's like 0.012 or so. I don't know where the decimal's at, but it's definitely less than a nickel per play.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, is it really worth? I don't know. It's a little funny to me. It makes sense for a major label artist, when they
major
have
label
this,
artists and somebody with like a huge, massive following.
Yeah,
that
like,
you know you're gonna have people that are gonna buy it. Like you can just post it up on your own website. You know,
Yeah.
It's like if you're like a Prince or a Michael Jackson or a Madonna or actually, even really a Jay-Z for what it's worth. Or Beyonce, if you will. I think they could easily just say, yeah, never mind. We're going to take all of our stuff off of streaming service, and people can only get it if they go here.
It's one thing I've been thinking about doing. I don't mind talking about it because it's not that I'm scared that someone else is going to do it before me and then my idea is lost, because it's not applicable just to me. It's just in general.
Right.
You know where I think music is going? I think that it's going to revert back to like fan clubs, Like, think about this real quick. Like, look, it went from... You're like the third or fourth person that I bring this with, but I really want to put this out to the universe.
Okay.
It went from records and radio to tapes and CDs, also radio. Then the internet came. Then everyone downloaded all the music illegally on LimeWire and Napster.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then Apple created the iTunes store to capitalize and choke that out.
MP3s, yeah, exactly.
Then YouTube came.
Yep.
And then people started putting it up on YouTube. And then they were like, "Yo, there's no way we can stop this.
Right.
Let's just
figure out how we can monetize YouTube."
Yeah. so then they created streaming services.
Yep.
And now everybody's on streaming services, and the people that are getting the short end of the stick are the artists.
Artists, yeah.
There was $43 billion made last year, and only 12%
of that
was made to the artists, and the majority of that money was from touring.
Yeah.
So how do the artists?
They're not making money off the actual music anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
so I think what's going to come from this is they're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to take all my music off of streaming services. I'm going to make my own app. You download my app, and I charge you $1 a month just for me. $1 a month. All my music is on there. It's not available nowhere else. And then I'll come out with new music every month so that you get your dollar's worth.
I think I think that's a great idea, but again, I think it depends on if you have already amassed a bit of a following, because I think one of the pluses that does come from social media, if you're using it right, is, and the streaming services particularly, is making your music accessible to the masses that you don't necessarily have a reach. Like locally speaking, you could reach a lot of people. You can promote to them, but then if you want to go national, international, so on and so forth, there are people in Germany, Denmark, Paris, Japan, whatever, that want to listen to your music. They don't know about it yet, but if you get it on a streaming service, they might happen across it because of a playlist that somebody makes, whatever, that they follow. And then all of a sudden, you got a whole bunch of streams coming out of Denmark, out of nowhere, But so I think that's where it could be a plus. Especially if you're using online tools to market your stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, you get out of it I think everybody has to see value in it for themselves, but yeah, it's a tough one because, like I said, if you take it off of streaming services, you might segment yourself away from those people. They will no longer have a way to get access to your stuff, whereas maybe use it to your benefit and say, okay, well, you create your profile on Spotify. So if they go and they listen to your stuff, or your profile on Apple Music, you create your playlist on Apple Music and then try to promote that as much as you can on social media. Yeah.
Like maybe do a lot of promo like on Instagram. Like, you get 1 minute video clips.
Word.
1 minute of like promoting a minute's worth of a song. Be like, you want to hear the rest of it and the rest of the album? Download this app. Think about like artists that have like 100,000 followers, right? They post a picture up, and like on average they'll get like 10,000 likes faithfully, So let's say 100,000 followers translates to, let's say, 10 to 15,000 subscribers of like that $1, and like it's like, listen, I'm faithfully making 10 to 15 racks a month. Just off of it would take forever for me to accumulate that on streaming services.
True. True.
So it's just pros and cons. Like, I don't know. It's just I know it sounds a little crazy, but I see it going there.
No, man. It's just I think it's working out the strategy, understanding exactly what it is and what you can gain from it. I think that it's never wrong to try a new idea, dude. Otherwise, we wouldn't have iPods. We wouldn't have Beats Music. We wouldn't have. There's a lot of things that we wouldn't have if people didn't say, you know what, let me try this a different way.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think anyone should be afraid to try it. What's the worst that can happen? You fail? Okay, cool. You learned a lesson. Now, take that lesson and reapply it to the next idea that you have and keep it moving.
You know, like I saw you pointed right now when you were like, oh, like the iPad or the iPod, and you pointed at my Beats pill, right?
Word.
And like, it reminds you were just telling me the story before we started this podcast. You were telling me how you were walking down South Beach with a boombox.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yep.
Like, do you think that the feeling is totally different from carrying a boombox, a bulky boombox, to someone just walking around with a Beats pill?
You know, carrying a Beats pill is like, you can conceal it. You can have it in your back pocket, in your backpack, whatever. Oh, something about a boombox, man. Back in the day, you know, a very large boombox. There's no way to hide that. You know, it's like people are gonna take notice of that, and I used to use that to my benefit. It was like, I think if I wanted to start a cipher, you know, I knew all I needed to have was some instrumentals in my boombox. Didn't care where I was. If I take the boombox out, I knew they were going to come. It was like Field of Dreams. You know, it's like, if you play it, they will come.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
It was like one of those things. Is like I would bring the boombox out with me whenever I would go down to South Beach. I would have instrumentals on deck, whether they were my instrumentals or whether they were just, you know, regular, you know, well-known instrumentals and stuff. And, you know, press play. And next thing you know, we have a group of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people standing around, busting flows, and
Those
we
are
had to know
good
each
days,
other.
man. Like South Beach
Great
Cypher.
days. Yes, great days, man.
It's
Love
like
it.
it's like you see somebody walking down the street with like a briefcase, you think businessman,
Right.
You know,
But you
lawyer,
see somebody walking down with a boombox, you know what's up.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, yeah, someone heavily in music, you know.
Yeah.
You know, man. I think that if someone were to put forth the effort to really do that again today, like I saw on YouTube, there's these two kids that they one kid walks around with a camera, the other kid walks around with like a little microphone and a Beats pill, and I guess the mic is connected to the audio of the camera.
Okay.
You know, and they're like, they'll walk down the street and an instrumental is playing out of the Beats pill. And they'll just walk up to random people, yo, spit something, and then the compilation is random people getting put on the spot and then getting on the mic, yo, I'm here walking down the street, yeah, blah blah blah, whatever. And it's like it's
That's
funny,
dope.
yeah, it is cool because it like hip hop, like now rapping is like how it was when someone wanted to start a garage band in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like music is such a cool thing to do that everyone considers doing it.
Yeah. You'll
You
catch
know?
a dude in a 3-piece suit and mess around and he'll spit you a hot 16. You
Yeah.
never know.
I remember this one time, bro. I was in West Palm Beach with my cousin, and we went to the movies. And like this was during that time when like ciphers were a thing, like how you're saying, like it was almost like an acceptable public thing to do to just play a beat or someone start beatboxing. Like you see a crowd of people and someone
Yeah.
just starts, and then they'll be like, "Oh, okay," and before you know it, heads start bobbing, and that one guy just walks up with a, yeah, yo, my name is, and whatever. And like, so like we were in West Palm in some like plaza, and then someone played music out. You know those little boom boxes that like they're small and they're like round, and like you could put batteries in it, and like it has a little CD player, not just a tape player.
Yeah, the old school, yeah.
And like the guy put it down on the ground, started playing some Nas beats. Now that I think about it, and then like I started freestyling with my cousin.
Yeah.
And this one guy, much older, tall, mid-30s, just comes in. He's like, "Yeah, my name is Adam, but like ATOM, Adam." And I was like,
Sweet.
"Yeah, that's cool, for sure." And I was like, "Yeah, but you ain't better than me though." In my mind, nah, he was. Like, I mean, I was still not developed in my freestyles yet, And he like, I remember he had this one line where he's like, you think something like, you think that you spit, but you ain't dope. I'll cut your head off and I'll shit down your throat. And everyone was like, oh,
yeah.
And I was like, damn,
Shock value.
yeah, for real. Are you a fan of shock value lines more than just like well put together schemes?
I appreciate them for what they are, because sometimes you do have to have a shock value line to just get their attention, But I'm personally more a fan of flow. I like the freestyles. I even like the battles back when they had to rhyme over beats.
Yeah, me too.
It's like, I mean, I appreciate, and more of the battles nowadays are the shock value lines, you know, and as opposed to the rhythm of it and everything else. But that's where I come from. I love the ones where you know, they will put on a beat and you had to, not only did you have to have a, you know, some witty lines, you know, you had, in some cases you had to be coming off the top of the head. In most cases you had to be coming off the top of the head and be able to demonstrate it. And but you also had to have a flow, you know, to kind of keep people engaged into what you were actually doing and saying. And you know, I think those were some of the more memorable battles and stuff like that. But I think the downside to that is that sometimes you get a DJ that just, you know,
plays a whack beat.
Oh man,
that's
like
the
most
worst.
horrible beat ever.
And everyone in the crowd is they're hip to it. They're like, why would you pick
why
that
would you
beat?
put that beat on? Yeah.
Yeah, and then the MC's like on the spot with the mic in his hand. He's like, word.
Yeah, like word. That's what you're gonna put on? Okay.
Yeah. I remember that, man. I mean, like, but some of the most like safe instrumentals to put were like Try by 12.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Anything Premiere produced, pretty much. A lot of DITC type stuff. You know, you put on a lot of those really, really dope, sort of, I say underground, air quotes, you know, underground hip hop records from like the 90s and stuff. They were pretty much a good guarantee that you were going to be able to get a nice verse off. You know?
Yeah, because the DJ drops the beat, everyone gets excited to hear
the beat, yeah,
and then it just raises
what is
the
he gonna
energy
do to that beat.
Yeah. And listen, man, for a little while, like Miami had a really, really, really good MC scene for a little while. Like it was for a good 2-3 years that it was like really, really just there was an event. And like I didn't know you at that time, but I know you were involved. Like,
I was always. I think I've always been around. You know, even if I wasn't necessarily in the battles and stuff, I like to attend. You know, and just really get a chance to hear what's going on.
You have any like good? Do you have any good memories that you can like share from that time? Oh my bad. You want some coffee before we keep going?
Yeah.
All right, here you go, man. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. All right, cheers, man. So Draz, bro. Yeah, bro. Like we had a lot of good memories, man, of the hip hop scene. But I didn't really see you too much in him at the time.
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar. I wasn't put on to you at the time. Actually, I don't even remember how we met. Now that I think about it, it seems like I've known you for so long. Like
that's funny. Yeah, I'm trying to think of that. I mean, I think. Was it online on Facebook?
Maybe it was like H2O or something put me on to you.
Yeah,
because I remember
likely because H2O was he's always been
kind of like a gatekeeper, like a connector.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Shout out to H2O,
big time. Yeah.
But yeah, man, like listen, do you have any good memories of? Do you have any memories you want to share of those days in the hip hop scene? Maybe some cool stories or something.
Some of the dopest stuff that I remember experiencing when I first got down here. Was like stumbling across Fatland. And Fatland was dope, and I miss that, honestly. I think I miss the vibe of it. I miss to me it was like a hotbed for talent. It was a really, really good spot for you know, the MCs we had back then, and poets that we had back then, even the bands, you know, that were around back then. They were able to develop themselves there. You know, and develop their sound, develop their stage presence, because they had a really good draw, a really good crowd. You know, DJ Snow White used to put that event on every week. It was like every Tuesday, if memory serves me right. And when I first was made aware of it, it was at the Marlin Hotel on like 12th and Collins, and or 12th and Collins, yeah. And which was a dope hotel, first of all. I mean, it was dope because they have a studio there, South Beach Studios.
You mentioned like South Beach, and these stories that you're telling me, a lot of them take place in the beach. Yeah. Like that, it's crazy
back
how this.
Then, back then, a lot of the stuff that was hip hop took place on the beach because it wasn't really like there was nothing really popping off downtown and Wynwood and things like that, like it is now. Everything, if you wanted to be involved in what was going on with music, most of the time you were heading down to South Beach, you know, because that's where a lot of the things were popping off. Even when they had the music conferences and stuff like that, like the Winter Music Conference?
Yeah, Winter Music Conference, yeah.
Bingo. You know, that used to take place down on South Beach. And so, like, How Can I Be Down and all of those different things that came down here.
Yeah.
all of them took place down on South Beach. So that was the draw because of South Beach, at the time.
Yeah.
But I think it was like towards the end of the 90s, going into the early 2000s, they started passing ordinances left and right, really trying to sort of drive things away from the beach, drive the element away from the beach.
Yeah.
And so,
why do you think that is?
I think it all boils down to money and real estate. You want a certain crowd there. You want to draw a certain type, type of folks there, and you don't want, other folks there. So I don't start pushing them out.
I don't think that hip hop, I don't think urban crowds in hip hop was totally embraced by Miami Beach. And the ironic part of it is that now hip hop is like the most popular culture, genre of music, not culture.
Yeah, but it's genre of music.
Genre of music in the entire world, and now they can't turn away a headlining act or whatever.
They'll try.
But
they know if they know what's good for them, and they know the money that's involved, and most of the time money drives everything, and they'll end up saying, "Yeah, definitely bring them down." It's like who do we want to have perform? Migos, no problem. It'll be in a place that would never ever have that type of act there.
I just wish that like these like gatekeepers of that type of those areas, they'll be like, yeah, okay, the headliner brings in the money, but let's also create a tradition here. Like if it's like a venue where they'll be like, okay, like for example, Jazzed, remember Club Jazzed? Is that place still open? I don't think it is, to be honest with you.
Sure.
And if it is, my bad, I just haven't been there in a while.
Word.
But like for example, they'll get somebody like J. Rue the Damager. Remember how for a while he was doing a lot of shows down here?
Yeah.
And then like I remember I went to a show. It was J. Rue, the Beat Nuts, and funny story. That show, man, I was like a teenager. I have a stack of Polaroids here, and it's a picture of me with J. Rue. And so I walk up. I wanted to get something to eat, so I left the front door of the venue, and a van pulls up, and these guys are pulling out like crates, like those black boxes with the metal ridges, the metal like edges. That's how you know it's music equipment.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, "What's up, guys? Hey, do you know where I can get something to eat from around here?" And then one of the guys was like, "Nah, man, I'm not from around here." And I'm like, "Word? What's up? You make music or something?" And the guy looks at the other guy, and he's like, "Yeah, we do." And I'm like, "Word, what's your name?" And he's like, "We're the Beat Nuts." And I'm like, "Who?"
All of a sudden somebody jumps out, "Watch out now."
yeah, I was like, "Who?" Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was still young. You know?
No, it's all good. That's dope though.
They were like, "Yeah, we're the Beat Nuts, man. We don't know, bro." That's funny.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But like, it will be an awesome thing for all these little establishments to like just put more faith in their community, bro. Like, look at how New York embraces the locals. California, the same thing.
Man, yeah.
So it's like you get the headliners, and then you also put like some
get the locals.
Bro. I think that should be the formula. Because like, look, every time that when Joe Budden and Royce the 5'9" performed at Eve, and I opened up for them.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Were you there?
Nah, I didn't get a chance to go to that one, but I remember you were doing a lot of stuff at Eve.
Yeah, and like dope. Those guys, Joe Budden and Royce, they brought out like 1,000 people. There was literally 1,000 people in that show.
Packed into that venue? Wow.
And you know how that venue size, you would imagine comfortably maybe like 600 people.
Right, exactly.
Comfortable. There was over 1,000, And those people live in Miami. They're into hip hop. They're just not in the loop of local hip hop.
Right.
So, Nasty, right? Shout out to Nasty, the booking agent, right?
Okay.
Nasty, he like opened up the opportunity for local cats to get booked, and
that's dope.
And
that's what I'm talking about. Like, you gotta have. It's up to the promoters, man. It's like you can get the right artist that you know is gonna draw a crowd, the type of crowd, and then finding the right local artist to open up, and giving them that venue. You're right. I mean, I think that's the way it should have, the way it's been in other places, and the way it should always be. It makes sense.
Like, look, man. Like one thing that I that I'm aware that you do that's like super dope is that you almost never turn down an opportunity to just make on social media. I'll scope out. Someone's like, "Yo, that shit's dope. Let's work." And your response is, "All right, yeah, let's work."
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's pretty much at the heart of it, man. I just want to create, you know. It's the process, and it's the outcome. You know, I think before anything else, before any titles or any categories and stuff like that, as far as like producer, beat maker, you know, MC, whatever. I'm a music enthusiast, man. I'm just a connoisseur of sound. I love it. And it doesn't matter what genre of music. It doesn't matter how old it is. It doesn't matter who would typically listen to it and all that other stuff. I just like music, period. And I find something in everything. And I mean everything. I'm not even like, you know, most people say, yeah, I love everything, you know, except country. But no, I'm like, I'll vibe out. There's some country stuff I'll vibe out to. There's some big band stuff from back in the day, Al Goodman and Frank Sinatra type stuff. I will vibe out. You know what I'm saying?
I actually think country goes hard as fuck. Like, listen, like when I was in Missouri, every morning they would have music videos on the TV while everyone gets ready to go to breakfast. Mm-hmm. And they'll have country music playing on there. They'll go back and forth from country music videos to the news.
Yeah.
And then, but when it was country music, and they'll have like, you know, the top 10, whatever. Yo, I was vibing out,
country
man.
Joints, yeah, there's a few country joints out right now that just like, I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, what?
It's just a little. It just seems like their accent is a little forced sometimes. Went down to the barn. It's like, do you really talk like that? You know?
I think it just depends. Are they actually from the South? Are they actually from Tennessee and, you know, Kentucky and so on and so forth? Or, you know, I think that's really the key. But it's, I mean, honestly, the same thing happens in other genres of music too. Because you got folks with like let's take Adele. You know, straight up from England. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But dude, when she's singing, you don't hear that. You don't even hear the accent at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, Amy Winehouse, you know, you go on right down the line. And then you got, but then even back in the day, you had a lot of dudes with sporting like New York accents. And
I was going to say,
New York.
For a little while in South Florida,
yeah.
New York accent was kind of the thing.
Yeah.
Like the boombox to you, so people know that you make music. Mm-hmm. Like New York accents was the way people show that, yeah, I listen to hip hop. Can't you tell? You know?
I mean, some of the you figure some of the vernacular, you know, some of the slang terms and stuff like that are always going to permeate, you know, your vocabulary and things like that. So yeah, I've seen myself say, you know, things like, "Now me," like, wait a minute,
yeah, for sure,
you know,
yeah, like you know, when I was traveling a lot, man, I'll stop in different, you know, you just pull over to get gas, you know, and like it just makes me wonder. It's like, you know, not too far from here, people talk very different. Who started this? You know,
yeah.
Who made it a point to be like, hey, y'all, around here we're gonna start talking like this. All right, so get with it. And then everyone just looks at each other and like agrees, like, all right, this is how we're talking, man.
You know, I mean, yeah, that's real. I don't know. I mean, that's a really, really good point. It's like who you know that some people take credit for inventing certain slang. You know, so like you know. Who was it that said that they came up with the word bling?
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne, I think he took credit for that. But then like E40 has like a whole dictionary of like hip hop terms that he's come up with. Some that have never taken off, you know, but some that are like rooted deep in the culture. So you know them, and you know, like just certain ways of saying certain words. Like, you know, MC8, everybody knows him for what? Gia.
Yeah, word. Hey, Draz, if you had to pick like, if you had to just name off the top of your head like some classic Miami, just people that are in the music, you know, like let's say if you had to narrow it down to like the top 5, you know, top 5 of just people that contributed to music, who would it be?
I hate top 5s because you always forget somebody and then you remember, you're like, wait a minute.
All right, let's do top 6.
No. I just random names that just pop into my brain right now of people who have contributed to the scene down here. You gotta, I mean, obviously depends on if you're starting with like the Miami bass, you know, a lot of this stuff. Whoa. He's like, hey.
Hey, come on, stop that. Good boy. All right.
There you go. Tell him what time it is. Now, but yeah, if you got like the Miami bass scene and stuff, then obviously you got to take it back to like, you know, Uncle Luke, 2 Live Crew, the whole Pac Jam type, that whole style. And then, you know, so like Mr. Mix, you know, the producers and stuff that were doing everything, Mr. Mix. And, and then you got, you know, some of the groups that like I would, and I hate to say just hip hop because it's all hip hop and rap music basically, but you got cats like Society, you know, one of the dopest records down here, you know, for a long, long time. Yes, indeed, you know, that goes hard, and still goes hard to this day. You put that on, and it's like anybody from Miami typically knows that record, or they've heard it. And if you've ever been in a spot where there's a bunch of cats from Miami and that record comes on, it's like, what? You know, it's just it's one of those records that just goes hard, you know.
Damn,
and,
you know, like you telling me this, you know, it would probably be a good idea, man. Like if someone, if a community of people got together and like paid for like some type of brick and mortar, like a business, or like maybe like a long hallway where like it's just pictures, like a timeline of like,
ooh, yeah,
you know, like you open the door and like the first thing you see is like, you know, the 2 Live Crews, and then you go down a little bit more, you start seeing the JT Moneys and the Trick Daddies and the Gloria Stefans, and you know,
that would be dope. And it's just a whole timeline of Miami music and everything. That would be fly. Yo.
Yeah, that'll be sick, man. Like get some dope posters.
Why can't we see that on Art Basel?
Frame
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
down
for
there in
sure.
Wynwood, it'd be dope to see that on a wall down there. You know, on the art walk.
Yeah, and then it'll kind of inspire people to be like, what are you gonna do to
add my album to that?
Yeah,
you know?
What are you gonna do to earn a space in this?
That's real,
you know?
And I think that's. I mean, I think that's what everybody kind of. I would hope that it's what everybody's aiming to try to do is really get your, you know, contribute to that history. You know, I want something that, you know, I always want to be able to look back and say, yeah, I made this record that, you know, to this day stands the test of time. You know, and. You know, just adds to the sound.
Did you want the last that coffee?
We're good, man. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm already gonna be hyper.
If you want, I'll get you one after we're done.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, but I think that that's really the key. I mean, there's so much and so many people that have contributed. You got if I just talk about the people that I know, at least, you know, or the folks that I've been in contact with. You know, you got to talk about, you know, cats like you know, Lord Mecca, Richie Wanda. You know, the different we got a wealth of like dope female, you know, rappers down here, just rappers that happen to be female, excuse me. You know,
yeah. I'm the same way. I'm like, yo, listen, like they just rap and they happen to be females. Like stop saying female rappers first. You know?
Yeah. Because I like I said, I've been in the studio with some that just go harder than some of the dudes that you think are the dopest. You know.
Yeah.
I've heard some of the dopest rhymes, you know, come out of their mouths, and you'd be like, damn, you know, and been in ciphers with them, you know, where you hear them just like demolish the whole cipher, just rip it down. You know, cats like Lioness, Solitaire, Wisdom Love. Jeez, man, I remember being in MC battles with Wisdom Love, and she would always go hard. And, you know, she rapped Zulu like so dope. But, you know, there's like just a wealth of, you know, talent down here in particular, and I just wonder if we had a stronger scene that supported the locals better. I think they'd be, you know, easily they'd be on par with some of the greats that, you know, the folks that people name when they start dropping top fives. Like there are MCs that we have down here that rhyme just as good, if not better, than some of the cats that they put in their top fives.
Yeah, up. Like listen, like I think that's like a dream killer, bro. Like just not being embraced by your home. It's like walking into your house and none of your family like cares about you. It's like being Meg. It's like being Meg from Family Guy. Like,
for real. Like
we're all Meg, you know, in Miami. You know, like
no doubt, that's real. That's actually.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
If more people, like when I had DJ EFN here, like he's like, yeah, we're celebrating 25 years of Crazy Hood. To even say that,
yeah,
you know, like what if those 25 years consisted of mostly just trial and error, but the fact that brand stayed united for this long, and now you look back and that just looks good as fuck. Man. 25 years of Crazy Hood.
I'm telling you. I mean, my hat's always off the Crazy Hoods. I mean, every time I ever see Eddie Giggs, I used to see Eddie Giggs in the street religiously. You know, he was doing the street team thing, and they were always promoting the mixtapes and promoting artists that were coming to town or albums that were dropping when they were doing a lot of the street teaming, him and EFN and things like that. And I would just always bump into them in the street, and I was like, dude, you're the hardest working man in Miami, period. And you know, just always out there on the grind. And yeah, you gotta respect Crazy Hood. You know, their hustle has been like phenomenal. And to see where they are now, they deserve every bit of accolades that they're getting right now because they really have put the work in and been consistent.
I remember when you hit me up one night and you were like, yo, let's link and build. I'm like, for sure. You came through. Yeah. And then I got that text from Rich Blanco. Yo, we're filming Drink Champs tonight. It's going to be Naughty by Nature. You want to come through? And I looked at you and I'm like, yo, you want to come through? And like,
I was like, thumbs up, let's go.
Yep.
He was like, Naughty by Nature, what? That was a great moment, dude. That was one of those. I just said, all right, yeah. And sometimes you gotta say, all right, yeah. You know, just roll with it. And it turned out to be a great evening, man. I had a ball. I was cracking up. Tretch was on one, but he was like, I love the stories, the backstories, and that's the thing that I love a lot. Is hearing the moments that contributed to, especially when you hear like the backstory to a great song, you'd be like, what led him to write OPP? And then he tells the story. It's like, what? Oh, snap, And, just even, how the groups, formed and things like that. I got a chance to meet KD, which was dope, and, that dude, listen, he's one of the cats that honestly, produced a lot of the soundtrack to my high school years and stuff. So it was great to meet him. It's great to meet, the cats that, contributed to the soundtrack of your life, and everything else. So I think that's always cool. So,
if you had to like maybe go down like a track list that would be a soundtrack to your life, like what are some songs, man, that undeniably would be on there?
Man, I mean, obviously you got to start with the first joints. So, I mean, I remember being in the car seat or in the back seat of my mom's Dodge Omni and riding down the streets of Inkster up in Michigan. And the radio plays Rapper's Delight for the first time. And I swear, like how you have radio DJs that used to do like parodies of songs and stuff? Yeah, yeah. They would just do parodies and, like J. Anthony Brown will take a song and he'll flip it. That's even today, like on Hot 105, And I always thought that those were funny, and things like that. But then I hear Rapper's Delight, and it's like, wait a minute, is this just like a parody? Is this like for real? Because I'd never heard rap before, you know? So it's like they're playing it, and, I think everybody just kind of tripped out. And then you realize, no, this is for real. Wow. You had that moment. And then, go to a block party with my uncle's spinning, because he's a DJ. Yeah. Shout out to my Uncle George. But he was spinning with his crew, and he would introduce me to all sorts of records, man. So like, the first time I got a chance to hear Grandmaster Flash and Soul Sonic Force.
You're like really bringing it back right now.
Yeah, no. So I mean, come on. I know I'm showing my age, but dude, it's like you go back and you start thinking about like when people say classic hip hop, my mind goes back to the '80s. Like the early '80s.
Yo,
not the '90s.
Yesterday was hip hop's 45th birthday with DJ
sir.
Kool Herc.
Yep,
and they were posting that flyer of DJ Kool Herc's party.
That was so dope.
It's so tight, man.
Yeah, I gotta get I'm gonna print it out and frame it and just put it up somewhere.
It goes to show like, yo, man, like just throw a party, bro. You want to start something?
Just throw a party.
Like Brother Ali has this one line where he's like, some in his first album. He's like, because he has this one song where it's like, show promoter backstage pacing. Why is that? He's trying to take control of the situation. He's like telling a story of how bad shows go badly. Like the first verse is about a show promoter not being able to pay. The second verse is about opening acts thinking they're the shit and not knowing their place.
Your time is up.
Yeah. So like on the opening act verse, he has this one line where he's like, some. Complaining about your drink tickets and go build your own scene if you think different, And it's like building your own scene. Technically, that's what Kool Herc was doing.
Yeah.
Because those parties that they were throwing, that shit happens all the time in Jamaica. That's where he was from.
Right.
Those those parties,
toasting and everything else, and the sound clashes and stuff like that. Yeah, that's where that came from.
So like he's like, you know what? This is what I'm familiar with. Let me just do this here in New York. And like it's just crazy. Like I'm sitting.
He brought that vibe and basically said, "Yeah, y'all need to hear this."
That's kind of what I want to do. I have these this PA system. So I'm throwing this little open mic here in a couple weeks. And I'm just kind of hoping to.
That's the start of it.
Yeah, just to start throwing my own little shows again, because I did it for a little while, but like I got a little lost in the sauce in that. And you would come through to the beat battles like faithfully, bro.
Yeah. That was always my thing. I love those. I love being in them, just being a part of them, because you know, that's I've gravitated towards that. You know, I mean, I didn't start out making beats. I started out writing. You know, that was my the first thing I did, and next thing you know, it was like, okay, well, tired of writing to other people's instrumentals. I'd like to, you know, there's a sound that I'd like to, you know, make of my own, and started, you know, gathering up equipment here and there, and then trying to learn my way around that equipment. And next thing you know, okay, I got a couple beats. Okay, how can I get better? And then boom, 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 and you know. Yeah,
you have like a very good musicality. Like there are some producers that they know how to chop samples, but you listen to the sequence of their chops and it's not good at all. Like they're chopped up. Yeah, I'm sure you watch some. I'm sure you watch some Rhythm Roulette and some Mass Appeal like beat making videos.
Right.
But like, it just doesn't sound. I'm sorry, it just doesn't sound good. You know, like. But with you, like I've seen you make like the one time I was over your crib and you like I filmed you making the beat. Like you had this weird like way of get this sequence. I remember seeing, because what's the thing that you make your beats on now with Ableton?
The push 2.
The push 2.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I remember when you chopped up all the cuts and you're like, all right, let me start playing with this. Like what would, and you started to do different patterns with the different chops.
Yeah.
And then the end result was like it was just insanely good, man.
Thanks, man. And
then like you like synced up the drum breaks and you started playing with some frequency filters and all that.
Yeah. I love doing that.
Yeah, man. Like
that comes from listening to, you know, turntablists, honestly, like messing around with the break beats and the drum loops and everything.
Yeah.
That comes from hanging around with, you know, a bunch of turntablists, like, you know, DJ Slice. He would you go to like DMC competitions and stuff like that, and I'd be like, can I tag along and carry your record crate, you know, and or turntables, and you know, I'd end up, you know, getting a nice front row seat, you know, listening to some of the dopest DJs and turntablists, you know, battle it out, and you know, being in you know, in a room watching DJ Craze like chop up Aaliyah, Try Again, and like I'm like, what? How can you take that beat and make it even that much doper? Because it was already a dope beat. And, you know, seeing them do that and then, you know, like taking a record, chopping it up, rearranging it completely different.
Right.
You know, that's where I took a lot of the inspiration early from. And I've continued to incorporate that because I think it's dope. You know, it's like, especially, you know, trying to throw different rhythms and counter rhythms in there and everything. But, yeah.
I remember the first beat that you made for me was Caught Up.
Caught Up,
yeah. And Caught Up to this day, like, if it's a little weird hearing people that are in the loop of my music being like, yo, that R3P is a classic, bro. Oh, I love About, on that song with the Beamer and Caught Up. And it's like, word? You know? I
love that album. Honestly, I do. I mean, it's like, I still find myself riding around listening to About, and my favorite track on the album, honestly, to be straight up, is the green 328i.
Yeah. Shout out to the Jake.
Green 328i.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, I've been thinking about getting another one of those cars, bro. Like, the reason why I stopped having that car is because I got into some engine trouble, and then I was recommended by my mom's, the guy that my mom was with at the time. You know, he's one of these like cubanazos, you know. Oye, pero tú sabes, mira, llévalo a fulano por aquí, lo arregla. And I took him to the mechanic, and the guy, it turned out to be the transmission. So then I paid him the money that he said that he would get another transmission. What he ended up doing was he bought another broken transmission to swap it out and just kept the money, you know. And then he sabotaged the car. So like, I think that I really want to consider getting another 98 green 328i and like garaging it, and then over time just like buying essentially a brand new engine, you know. Okay. Like, so when you open the hood, it's like a brand new crispy clean motor. Like I think that I'm gonna end up doing that.
Hey.
But man, like, listen, like I remember when you produced so you produced On Deck, my song On Deck, and then Work. And I remember I slid you the CD of Cortex.
Yep.
to this day, that band, yo, I'll be playing it recently. I'll go on YouTube and I look up Cortex, like, because they're from the 70s.
Yeah.
Or 80s, something like that.
Yeah, no, 70s. Yeah.
And they're French.
Yep.
You know? And
Dope.
I remember being like, yo, like, these guys, like, they're in. I watched a video of them live, and it's just crazy seeing. It's like a bunch of old folks, and the lady, she's standing up to the left hand side of the stage.
Okay.
And he's there with the piano. It's like piano player, a bass player, a guy with a saxophone, and her with the mic.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, damn, it sounds just as good live as it does in the studio recording. Like, it bugged me out when you gave me the final beat to On Deck, and like, you know, whatever, we made the song, and then like some months later, Fat Joe and The Game had a song with the same sample, and then a little while after that, Lupe
Jeezy.
Fiasco. Oh yeah,
Jeezy did one too.
It was Jeezy, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Lupe Fiasco has the song The Mural, which is literally the same exact way that you chopped it up. Like how do you feel about when that happens?
You know, part of me feels like, okay, I must have been on to something, you know? So I feel, you know, I'm like, okay, cool. That means I'm like definitely doing it right. You know, if I'm hearing them doing it, you know, the same way, especially if I've already done it, you know, years before or whatever. And then I've gotten those calls before where it's like somebody be like, yo, I think they jacked your beat. You know, I've gotten that call a few times because, like you said, it's like, you know, somebody will hear somebody else, you know, flip a sample very similar to how I did, and you know, instantly I'll just get, you know, hit up with text messages or calls and stuff like that. It'll be like, yo, did you hear this? Have you heard this yet? And the one that I felt was the closest to On Deck was the Young Jeezy one. Like I felt, I was like, man, that's just eerily similar, because I mean, you know how I do. It's like I'm usually chopping the hell out of a sample.
Yeah.
And you know, for it to be done, you know, damn near exactly the same way, it raises some suspicions. But hey, you know, it's just part of the game. It's with samples, man. I mean, it's like I know I would never be the first person to ever claim that, you know, that's ever happened to, you know.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I'm just happy for release dates.
For sure, yeah.
You know,
Sure. I did it first.
Yeah. Or if not first, I did it before the guy you said that did it before me.
Right.
You know, like, because I wouldn't be surprised, yo, if they've been around since the 70s. Hey, come on. I mean, if the
Somebody
music,
had to. Yeah.
if the music got to us, it got to a lot of people, bro.
True indeed.
You know?
True indeed. Yeah.
But I mean, still, man, it's a little. It's like when I hear like a rapper like rhyme the same things with me. Like I remember, like I had this one line on that song "Loud" on around midnight where I was like, some, and share the profit. I go some, share the profit. And then I rhymed it with Farrah Fawcett.
Okay.
Right, and then like a song with Mac Miller. Same shit. Some, Farrah Fawcett. Making all the money, don't share the profit. And I was like, damn. But, you know, I was talking about this with Shadi when he was here. Like, maybe the reason why these things happen is because since we're all connected on a subconscious level, the ideas that you have gets thrown into the pool.
Yeah.
And someone else picks it up as well. You know, I wouldn't be surprised, man.
That's real. That's real.
Like, maybe that's why it's so important to like not sit on things, because before you know it, it's like wanting to get a girl, and it's like, yo, if you don't
sleep if you want to.
yeah, if you don't capitalize, someone else is going to.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it's just funny how that's just the way that life works, capitalizing on things. You know.
Seize the day. Get on it right then and there, because somebody else could walk up and scoop that idea up. How many multi-million-dollar ideas have people had and just slept on it? You know, just wrote it down in a notebook, said, I'll get to it later. And all of a sudden it's like, bam.
Yeah.
The iPod.
For
like,
sure.
Damn.
I remember when I thought of Google. No, I'm just playing.
Church.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's gotten to the point now where like I almost don't even like I'll just be throwing out ideas out there. I don't care if someone else does it. Like when EFM was here, he had Eddie here, Eddie Giggs.
Yeah.
You know, he's known as Eddie the Ass Eater, you know, on Drink Champs. So I was like, yo, you should come out with a bib, bro. You know, and even if he doesn't, it's like, whatever, who cares? Like, what's the whole point of holding an idea inside? You know, like if you come up with something that could improve someone's quality of life, even if they don't do it, like, just throw it out there, man. The universe provides for you too.
That's real.
You know? But I mean, so anyway, man, like, yo, Draz, bro, like, let's go down the list of some of the Miami artists that you've produced for.
Okay. Oh man. Okay. Actually, the first track I ever produced for somebody was Elohim. Elohim. He was the first person to actually hit me up for a track. He did his first version, I think, of the Rock Bottom, and it was a real quirky electro funk type of beat, if you will, but it was like boom bap, of course, and you know, it was dope. It was just a good feeling that somebody was like feeling my beats, you know, and was you know, down to actually you know, really work on something, and then from there. I spent a lot of time really working more so with Jay Pure.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, no, he's still alive. He's just
What?
Yeah, he's not. He didn't pass.
Hold on.
Yeah.
No,
Remember he was in a
on.
car accident, but he basically
No way.
in a vegetative state.
Are you for real?
Yeah.
Why the fuck did I hear other people say rest in peace to Jay Pure? That's so crazy. I might have to edit I'm gonna edit this part out.
Okay, we'll check and see. But yeah, yeah, I haven't heard anything from his mother saying otherwise. And then you know,
Damn,
yeah. So that's yeah, we gotta look that up. Make sure.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Let's
man.
get the fact checkers. All right, but but yeah, Jay's been alive. You know, I mean, he just he had the accident back in 2002. It was October 2002, and I remember he was leaving the Mobb Deep show at the Hard Rock down on Bayside. And his younger brother Jonathan was in the car with him. Damn. And his younger brother did die in the car wreck, but yeah, Jay just they rushed Dre to Ryder Trauma Center, and we were there like 2 days probably waiting, you know, for any kind of word. Everybody's just kind of congregated outside of Ryder Trauma Center, you know, and we were there for a while. But yeah, he's been in pretty much in that state since then, and you know, it's difficult. You know, it's difficult because you're like, dude, like Jay Pure, like was however you want to term it, was one of the most talented cats, both from a writing, but also from a personality standpoint. Like he knew how to deliver, and his writing, like he could be. Like, to me, I feel like there are a lot of cats that have characteristics of him, but not all of. You know, he encompassed a lot. And so he could write the deepest thing, and he could write the most, and I'll use the term crunk just because it's like, just keep it jumping, you know. But yeah, he could write anything, and still come off dope. You know, he wrote a rhyme. We have a song called The Butt Whooping, I think is what it's called. Or no, That's What Hurts. That's the name of the song. They went through different names. And it was we were part of a group with DJ Slice called The Microphonists. And we came up with this song called That's What Hurts. And it was actually centered around domestic abuse, you know? And Slice wrote it from one perspective, like, you know, a friend, you know, trying to console, you know, the person that's going through it and steer that person clear of the situation. I wrote it from the perspective of, like I put my younger sister, in a sense I used my younger sister as a inspiration for it, you know, and how I would feel if that was happening to her. So I approached it from older brother and protector, you know?
Yeah.
And then Jay like completely turned the whole idea on its ear and came back with his rhyme, and it was like, he approached it from the position of the actual abuser. And like, I was like, whoa, you know, it was like mind blowing, you know?
Yeah.
And then we had a song that we did that was actually inspired by my late friend Will Burst, who he was one of the dudes that really pushed me, you know, to really like actually like take music serious, you know, because he saw something in me early on, and you know, we lost him to he had leukemia, and but when the thing was like he was such a motivating factor, you know, in the early parts of me doing music, that it really stuck with me. And I remember I was, you know, making music with Slice and Jay Pure, and it was you know, after he had passed, I walked in and Slice was chopping up the sample, you know, and it was just this real kind of like strings and just kind of really just sort of ethereal. You know, it was really, really dope. You know, but it still had a nice, you know, beat to it. I walk in and then just the hook just comes into my brain like immediately. It was just talking about, you know, they keep fading away. You know, and it's talking about how memory, you know, the memory of the people in your life, you know, as they leave, you know, how they fades away. And so I wrote my verse, you know, as it came to me. And then, you know, Jay, he had lost an uncle around that time. And he goes and he writes his verse. And he writes it from the perspective of the person who's passed away. Like he's trying to console his loved ones. That's what I'm talking about. Like that type of writing, you know?
So his approach was always...
It was always like, he was like, how can I attack this a different way than what you would expect, you know? And that was one of the things that I thought he was very talented at. But like I said, he could hit you with like some of the dopest lines. Like, you know, he could hit you from any angle, you know, as far as how, you know, he would rhyme. So he was one of the cats that I spent a lot of time working with. So, you know, we worked together as part of the Microphonists, but then we actually decided to form a subgroup, you know, of that, which at the time was called the Flow Riders. And we recorded an album, pretty much, enough material for an album. And then he, you know, obviously he was a member of Streetlight Poets, and he was doing his solo thing as well. So when he went to go do a solo album, and I was one, you know, to do an album myself, we decided to kind of split up a few of the tracks, you know, pepper some of them in on his album, and then I'll pepper some in on my album. And yeah, so we did that. And then some of the other cats that I've worked with a lot, yeah, obviously, you know, what they do, but that's getting like more into the future. Sweet Jesus is a member of What They Do. Been working with him since early 2000s. And, you know, I've worked with Richie Wonder, Crosstread. You know, he's really, really dope. Has a massive voice. You know, he's just got one of those like voices, like sort of like I want to say Biggie, but I also want to say like Chubb Rock. You know, he's got that kind of voice to it, like a very commanding voice and dope ass style. You know, but you know, like I said, some of the other folks I've worked with are like, you know, Lioness, Solitaire. You know, I don't know, man. Shoot, the list goes on. Good Lord, Dynaz. Actually,
shout out to Dynaz.
Me and Dynaz have been trying to work together for a while, since the early 2000s and stuff. And we finally actually we got one that's like really, really, really tight work, and it's gonna be on this new project that's coming out.
That's awesome,
you know,
bro.
So I'm really, really happy with that one. And Shotty, you know, me and him have, you know, we've worked together in the past as well, working on some stuff now. And then worked with you know, Garcia over at Crazy Hood.
Like you know, you going down this list of names, like you know, like when you put things in perspective. Oh, don't forget me. You've worked with me too.
Of course, you know, yeah. It's like seriously, like the list really does go on. It's crazy. It's like, you know, Omniscient, Flow Official. You know, it really does. You know, it goes on. And there's some cats that y'all don't necessarily know of. I think that have some great material. You know, like there was a group that I worked with called Unclaimed Territory. Some folks know of them. You know, if you like in the North Miami area, some, you know, cats know of them. Dope, absolutely dope boy, you know, dope duo. And, you know, but they never released the projects. That's the only part of like making music that, you know, it's like when it doesn't actually see the light of day.
Yeah,
and
listen,
you put all that energy in.
Oh my God, that's the
hardest thing.
Yo, listen, like that's one of the reasons why I'm hesitant about doing mad features. You know how some rappers like collab with everyone, and it's like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like earlier this year, I had put it out to the universe or really the internet. I was like, yo, I'm down to do features. What's popping? I ended up doing like 3 features. None of those songs have come out yet. And I'm like, yo, not for nothing, bro.
That's killer. Yeah, that's killer.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, yo, no offense. Listen, if any of these guys are listening to this, I'm not rushing you to put it out. It's just,
but put it out.
It's just you gotta understand why. Like now, I'm a little hesitant of thinking of some bars or thinking of some cool shit that it would have been out already with me.
Right.
And it's like, what are y'all waiting for? You know? Like,
true indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, so, I mean, I love it when, you know, when you got cats that are like consistent with putting material out, you know, and that's a lot of times that's what I look for, is that there is some level of consistency with people, you know, releasing your music, because, you know, if they're not going to release it, then it's kind of all for naught. You know, and that's, you know, like you said, if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody around, it doesn't actually make a sound.
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
that type of thing. So, yeah, if I spit a dope verse or if I make a dope beat and nobody actually gets to hear it because it never gets put out, then it's like, what does it matter?
All these things are like, they could easily be like dream killers, bro. Like, you know, like like not getting support from the city. The efforts that you do put in goes shelved, or like you put it out and it falls on deaf ears.
True.
You know, like all these things, and that's why it's commemorable for cats like, for example, like you, or like when you mentioned Shadi, or like even with myself, or like Rev, Ramon Revere, like people like us, we put something out knowing that one day it'll be discovered, and that joy of discovery makes it that much more special.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's dope. I mean, whenever, honestly, it's like if you get, like I've seen people that are just, they'll put some stuff up on like SoundCloud, like, Benchwarmers. I've done some stuff with them, and they put it up on their SoundCloud page, and it's like all of a sudden you get like a little notification because somebody left a comment or something like that. And, or you check how many times it's been listened to or streamed, whatever. You're like, damn, wait a minute, what happened? It was like 1,000. One time I turn around, and the song that we did off of his Kill for Crumbs album, had like 10,000 streams on like SoundCloud, and then like he sends me a screenshot of where it was coming from. I'm like, how do you know anybody from here? From this country or whatever.
Where was it coming from?
It was like Germany or something like that.
See, like crazy. See, like at that point, it's like get a show there, like to 1,000.
For real.
For real. Request a couple days off work. And go there.
More than a couple of days off, but yeah,
I'm saying, like, go there.
But yeah, go, yeah. See if you can get a show locked down. That to me is dope. I mean, and I think that's the plus side of the streaming services, and the plus side of the internet, social media, and stuff like that. Is because now you get exposure to people who you never would have under normal circumstances. But it also makes it easier because nowadays you can release your music, and that's a good and a bad thing. It's like it's a good and a bad thing because I remember when you couldn't just say arbitrarily, oh, I'm going to go ahead and put this album out. You had to actually either get it pressed up on CD or vinyl or cassettes, whatever, in order to get it out there. You didn't have the internet, MP3s to be able to distribute it, and you didn't have social media to market it. So if you wanted to put a song out, you had to actually, or put an album out, there was some thought that went into that. There was some effort that went into that. And I think that weeded out, that in itself kind of weeded out some of the, I would say, the people who either didn't have the stomach for it or didn't have the hustle for it. Because if you couldn't get your money right or get your situation squared away so you could actually be able to release it, get the music mixed and mastered properly so it would sound good on vinyl or cassette or CD, whatever, then 9 times out of 10 it didn't make it further than that burned CD that you made and you circulated in your hood. And there's nothing wrong with that either. It's like sometimes. I've heard of people getting enough buzz off of just simply a name in their hood, and I think that's awesome. But it comes back to we don't really have that very much here in Miami as far as that local support,
Yeah, I mean, I want it to happen, man. I want Miami to just kind of like, I want Miami to get over it. It's like, get over the fact that, like, we went for a few years where everyone was acting a little funny. Forget that. Like, you know what, man? Like, we're all still alive. We're here. No one's in prison, Like, no one's, just, like, everyone's still here, bro.
Yeah, we breathing.
Yeah, like, so get over it. Like, that's kind of the message that, yeah.
I think it's also, it's going to take collaboration. It's a collaborative effort. It's not like one man isn't going to be able to change everybody or change the scene or make the scene. They can contribute. I think everybody can contribute their portion to it, whether it's the attention or using their reach that they have as far as their audience, and sort of pointing people in that direction. Say, hey, so you're looking for good music, right? Here you go. And collaborating together to put on some great shows. Whether it's bringing down a headliner and then bringing a few opening acts. I think sometimes we get a little bit carried away with the opening acts. I think
yeah.
I love it. I ain't mad at it, but I mean, sometimes you'll hear some opening acts that might be, and truth be told, it might be a little bit more entertaining than the main attraction. Depending on if the main attraction is actually on their A game.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have those shows where they just come in and they rip it down, and it's great. But you got to have those have to be consistent. You have enough going on of those types of venues and those types of shows to where you can build an audience because people know it's going to happen. It's like you know, every 2 weeks or every month, there's going to be a show at this venue, and it's going to be this DJ. He's going to bring down a headliner, and he's going to have opening acts, and they're going to be dope, and it's going to be a dope show, and it's going to be promoted well, and you know, people will have merchandise to buy, you know, before you leave there, or you'll know where to go download their or listen to their music or whatever. You could purchase a CD if they're making CDs or whatever. Or,
Yeah.
I think, you know, yeah, it's going to take some degree of strategy, you know, and I think like all things, you just got to get folks moving in the same direction, you know, and that's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
It's nearly impossible, to be honest, you know. It's not impossible, but
it's
it
been
might as
done
well be.
before on a smaller level. It's just that it's got to grow, you know, and like I said, and I think like you said, I think even like on the EFN thing, it's about consistency. It really comes back to that, and that's even a lesson. That's medicine I'm taking for myself right now.
Yeah.
It's being consistent. You know, it's like I can do it in every other, you know, measure of my life, you know, and be successful in those other areas, you know. But I have to apply that same thing to what I'm doing with the music and being consistent. That's why, you know, the example and exercise in that consistency is what I've been doing this summer. Is, you know, I've been dropping a remix every week since Memorial Day, and I plan to do so until Labor Day. You know, and then after that. You figure by that point we're talking about the beginning of September, right?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that we've recorded, you know, that I've recorded, you know, over the course of this year, should now start by that point, you know, seeing the light of day. You know, some of the projects are slated to drop, you know, in September, October timeframe. So there'll be that consistency of now I have these projects, you know. So I've led the whole summer with these remixes, and now let's put out some more material. And I'll come up with the next thing, you know, in order to, you know, again, remain consistent as far as what I'm putting out there. And, you know, I have my idea, you know, I have an idea of doing an instrumental album, you know, just a nice little vibe, you know, type of album.
Yep.
I think that would be cool. And then just do like some little videos for like YouTube, you know, and let that ride. But, yeah, and then keep working, man. It's like I got a project in the chamber right now with Omniscient, you know, a six song EP.
Shout out Omniscient.
Yeah, Omniscient.
You know what? You know, just to like even things out, because I feel so embarrassed about saying rest in peace to J Pure. I'm about to start saying rest in peace to a bunch of random ass people that are just that are just alive.
Rest in
you know?
peace, Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they. How many times did you hear that Jackie Chan was dead? Like he had to come out on social media and say, "You guys, I'm still here, I'm still alive."
Yeah,
do a whole new movie just in case you knew he was still alive. You know.
You know that I saw how some rappers they tried to like fake their death just to promote a project. You know,
that's just no. Yeah, this is not one of the things.
I don't know. Listen, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I've considered those is one time. If my man Frank is listening, he's probably laughing. Like, it's true, man. Like this one time when I was out in California, I was like, "Yo, I'm getting shitted on by people back home. I'm coming out with, look, bro, Draz, real talk, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that the music that I make is very
dope,
different.
Nah, dope.
Thank you, but like, thank you, man. But like,
Serious?
well, I mean, we make music, so like, you know, but like, I find a hard time fitting in, you know. Like there's no, you have the square slot, the triangle slot, and the rectangle slot, and like mine is like this polygon that just doesn't fit in any of them. And like,
you know,
so this one time, listen, like this one time I was like talking to my man Frank, and I was like, I was in a very low place in my life too, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna fake my death, man, and just get out of here. And he was like, on the other side of the phone, you know how someone when they burst out laughing, they do it through their nose, like that, or out of their mouth. And I was like, for real, you think this is stupid? I think I'm actually gonna do it. And he's like, don't do it,
right?
Art,
do
not
that.
do it. Not even 2 days ago, I go on the internet, I saw like someone was like, rapper such and such faked his death to promote his mixtape, and it's just, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so happy I didn't do it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's not a good look.
Yeah.
That's just not one of the things you want to do.
Yeah.
I just think you know, you got to find other ways to drum up some attention and everything else, and that's just not one of the things. I think you stop short of that. You know,
it's like, you know, like I always try to find some different ways to like. You know how Will Ferrell and Semi Pro, like all the weird shit he did to sell tickets.
Promote the games, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like in a way, kind of how I've always tried to go
just
about.
wrestle a bear, if that's the case.
Yeah. Rapper Art Morera wrestles bear, and dies. New
Pretty
album,
much, yeah. This
New
ain't
album.
the movie.
New album comes out. The album cover is just like me mauled by a bear.
Art Morera, Bear Grylls.
You know that the word Arthur means bear man? That's actually what it means.
Really?
Yeah. So you just add like a little like a arrow in between bear and man and just write killed by, you know? Or bear kills, man. Just kills, you know?
Yeah, man. That's
But whatever,
crazy
man.
stuff.
Like, but you know, bro, I think that consistency, man. Like, I think that as long as people like package themselves well, you know, and just keep putting shit out. But the key to me is touring. Like, yo, just do something. Like, for example, like I tip my hat. I got a bunch of hats over there. Like, I'm a hat man, you know. And I'm like, I tip my hat to like Spaz, you know.
Yeah.
Spaz is performing
Every
a lot.
time I turn around, he's promoting another event that he's performing at. That's dope.
That is very,
that's work
very
ethic.
good. Absolutely. And he has a kid too. So it's like there's no excuse at all. There's no excuse for anyone out there, me included.
True indeed.
You know?
It does make scheduling things a little bit more difficult when you have a child, you know what I'm saying? But especially, you know, in his situation, he's you know, he has a, you know, he has his kid like full time, you know, and everything else. So yeah, he has to work around that sometimes. And you know, but respect is due to him. You know, it's like he's doing his thing, regardless of whatever obstacles are being thrown at him. And I mean, he's one of those cats that you really root for. You know. You know
what's an excuse that I give myself during this time right now is that since I'm on probation, and part of my probation is that I'm not supposed to be around bars or places that sell alcohol. So it's like even though if I really wanted to, I can walk into a bar and attend a show. As long as I don't get arrested, it's not going to violate my probation. And it's not like I'm going to turn around and see my PO right there just looking at me like Batman, you know?
Hey.
It's like, hey, guess what I'm telling the judge? But like that little paranoia has totally hindered my free will to just walk into like a Wynwood venue or some shit. So, but I need to get over that because, you know? So hey, listen, y'all don't get it twisted, man. Like the days are counting down. Like this is one of the reasons why I started this podcast, is so I can create something while I'm under this. You know,
that's dope. Yeah.
You know, I was doing vlogs for a little while.
Yep.
I was doing live streams a lot for a little while. I came out with Transit City. Now I'm doing this podcast. Like, so it's like I'm just trying to stay active.
That's good.
While I'm confined. You know.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I mean, you're taking what could be an obstacle and still turning it into an opportunity. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, that's exactly what it should be. I mean, you know, I think that's a lesson for all of us. You know, to really just don't let your obstacles stop you and prevent you from actually progressing.
Yeah.
You know, you got to find a way to overcome them. You know, what is it? What are you talking about? It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get picked, you know, you get back up, you know, that sort of thing.
I fought 8 to get up 9. Hey. Wait, I just grind all day. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Word. Well, listen,
how many times do lyrics permeate life? You know, or
all the time, bro.
Like it comes back to the whole point of music being a soundtrack. You know,
there'll be some days, bro, where especially with Rev, him and I talk on the phone, and in the most perfect moment, rhymes become the responses. You know?
Yeah, that's real.
You know, like he'll be like, yeah, man, you know, like he has this one song called Topsy Turvy, where like the hook is like, why the fuck is everything so topsy turvy? I ordered a turkey club, and it brought no turkey. It's like, so it's like sometimes in life we'll be talking, then he'll be like, yeah, man, it brought no turkey. You know, and it's just this like it becomes this idiom that. You know, music is just so powerful, man.
It really is. That's one of those uniting factors in life. You know, it's like it transcends everything: age, class, race. You know, music is just music, like sports.
Because
you know?
The human experience, even though every country is different, you might be in a different class, culture, religion, whatever it is, but the human experience is almost the exact same thing. Everyone's gonna experience a list of all the same things: death, heartbreak, disappointment, failure, happiness, joy.
All things that transcend language.
And that's
so you can sit there and you could feel it. Like I don't have to know. I don't know Spanish the way I want to know Spanish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like one of the first tracks I ever produced with Omniscient was a joint he did called Yo Soy Aquí. And it's for a Sony compilation. And dude, I honestly, I probably pick up about 20 to 30% of what he said in the joint, but the pieces that I do pick up, you know, as far as the language is concerned, they give me the idea where he's going with it, you know, but you feel what he's getting across and how he's coming on that record. Even the Cortex joint, when you're listening to the actual songs, I don't speak any French.
I have no idea what they're saying.
She could be saying all kinds of crazy stuff.
But it sounds amazing. It's so good.
And that's what I'm saying. It just transcends language, and that it's like I think that's the dope part. I mean, I'll sit there and I'll listen to like rancheros with my wife, you know, and we'll be sitting there just vibing out, and I'll be like, yo, the soul that this dude is singing with is amazing. And then she'll translate, you know, she'll be like, oh yeah, so what he's talking about is, you know, oh, he's at a bar and he witnesses this girl. And I was like, wait a minute, that's like I saw you walking in the rain, Orange Juice Jones, you know, so it's like you said, it just transcends all of that. And we share those same experiences and those feelings. Folks can relate to it, you know, and I think that's the whole thing is, you know, can people relate to your music? If they can, you'll find an audience.
Right.
You know, that's the real stuff.
My man, Draz, yo. You want to tell people what your social media is? Maybe Instagram?
Yeah, I am let me say it right. At I am DSPZ on Instagram. Same thing on Twitter. And on SoundCloud, it's just soundcloud.com Citation Sounds. You can go there and peep out the remixes that I've been doing, some of the songs that I've produced. You know, they're there. You'll hear some stuff by, like I said, Benchwarmers, Omniscient, Sean Elliott, my younger brother, rest in peace.
Yeah.
My younger brother was another one that was really dope. That, you know, one of the ones that I worked with a lot. But yeah, I mean, you'll hear a lot of different music there. Like I said, I have about 12 remixes up now, about 12 weeks into that series. So I have that there, and then stay tuned because we'll be putting out more music. You know, I'm already in the studio working with you, working with What They Do, Shotty, Omniscient.
Damn, I would love to hear some new music from you and Shotty.
I can't wait. Let me just tell you, yeah, I'm gonna stop there because it's gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah,
because dude is already dope, and mind you, he's a dope producer in his own right.
He is.
The fact that he even reached out to me, was actually dope. Anyway, we have a long-standing relationship, but dude, yeah, I've been waiting to, really work with him. Particularly, I told him, I said I would like to actually see him and Little Man reunite, get an ID4 reunion on the project.
Yeah, that'd be fire.
Yeah, working on some stuff with Ghost Rider.
Nice.
Out of Port Boy Camp. Yeah, and then we got, like I said, we got the Dynaz joint coming real soon, and I'm looking forward to that one hitting the airwaves. I think that's gonna move. It's gonna do something, And what else, man, dude? Yeah, Richie Wonder, Crossthread. Still working with him. Got projects up there from Neffy, an R&B artist that I worked with, a little ways back, and it's dope. And always continuing, man. Like I said, and I'm always, you said it. If cats hit me up and they're like, "Yo, you want to work?" My answer is usually, "What's up?
Yeah.
Let's go."
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, hit me up if you're interested, and we'll get it moving.
So like again, for all the listeners out there, his Instagram is IAMDSPZ. Okay. Yep. All right, y'all. Well, listen, man. This was fucking super tight.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for bringing the Cuban coffee. Before we came here, we went to Wendy's, and when they asked the name, I was like, Draz. And the lady was like, all right, Draz it is. She never actually called for it. She just gave us our food. But
pretty much.
But you got to get your name out there, man.
I got to get my name out there. Yeah. I'm known unknown, if you will.
But all right, y'all. So that was episode 22. If y'all haven't heard, if you haven't heard my project Transit City yet, it's okay. It'll be there for you.
Peep it out.
You know what I'm saying? We out of here, y'all. This is Draz. This is episode 22. My name is Art Morera. My dog Morty, the other dog that was barking earlier in the episode, I hope is sleeping now. It's an annoying dog.
Thanks for having me, Art.
Yeah, for sure, brother. We out of here, y'all. Peace.
Medianoche.
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 Podcast.
Medianoche.
Podcast.
Medianoche.
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 Podcast.